Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making some delicious biscotti. So let's get started. First off, set your oven to 350 and line a rimmed baking sheet with parchment paper. Now, in the bowl of our mixer, we're gonna combine the dry ingredients, starting with 2 cups or 240 grams of all-purpose flour. Three-quarters of a cup of granulated sugar, that's 150 grams. And to puff things up, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Biscotti are such a nice treat to have, especially with your morning coffee. They're double baked, so they have a lovely, crunchy, pleasantly dry texture. This is not a chewy cookie situation. Biscotti actually translates to twice baked in Latin. I'm also adding in 1/4 teaspoon of salt for some contrast. You don't have to, but I'm gonna give this a whisk before I pop it onto the stand mixer. Just feel like it's a good habit to have. Let's distribute everything before we add the wet ingredients in. Okay, our scale is done. We're gonna pop this onto our stand mixer. Now we're gonna add 2 large eggs. Large and room temperature, please. And by the way, if you like my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's 2 new delicious recipes every week. I'm also adding in 1/4 cup of salted butter, melted of course. If you only have unsalted butter, that's fine, you can use that too. Just add an extra pinch of salt in. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm actually gonna measure for once, and 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. Biscotti often have a beautiful almond flavor from almond extract and sliced almonds as well. If you'd like a more traditional Italian flavor, you could use anise extract. You could also use spices like cinnamon or cardamom. And if you want a citrusy twist, you could add in the zest of a lemon and or orange. Now we can pop our paddle attachment on. We're gonna mix this on low just until the dough comes together. You could definitely make this in a big bowl with a wooden spoon. You do not need a mixer for this. It's time for 1/2 cup of sliced almonds. These give you a lovely crunch and some more almond flavor. You don't have to use almonds though. You could have dried cranberries or raisins. You could use other nuts like pistachios, walnuts, or pecans. And really any mixin is gonna work here. There are also chocolate chips that you could put in if you want. Mix this on low just until it's combined. You don't want your dough to become tough. Even though it's twice baked, it should still be tender, like it's a tender cookie. So you do not want to overmix the batter because that'll activate the protein in the flour. Now we're gonna lightly flour our surface. Just a little sprinkle of flour will do. It's a good idea to check the bottom of the bowl and just do a final mix with your spatula. There's probably a little bit of flour or sugar that hasn't gotten mixed in. This dough is not super wet. Transfer the dough to your counter and knead it together just a couple of times. Just a little bit brings it together. Okay, divide your dough in half. Each half will get shaped into a rectangle that's 5 by 3 by 1. You don't need a rolling pin, you can just pat it into place. 5 by 3. Okay, once your dough's shaped, transfer it to your baking sheet and repeat for the other half. 5 by 3 by 1. One more egg for an egg wash. Crack that into a small bowl. You could add a sprinkle of water if you want, but it doesn't really need it. Brush your biscotti dough with your egg wash. This will give it a little bit of shine and color, and also act as glue if you want to have a sprinkle of sugar on top, which I do. I'm going to show you what it looks like with sugar and without. So one of these will get a sprinkle. The other one will be plain. Our biscotti are ready for the first bake of 2, 350 for about 30 minutes. Your biscotti will be cracked and change color, but once they come out of the oven, I will show you what to do next. So, in you go. These guys are fresh out of the oven, and it's time to carefully transfer them to a wire rack so they can cool down. If you're thinking, this doesn't look like a biscotti, it's because it needs to be sliced and baked, but first, we're gonna let it cool down for 20 minutes. If you tried to cut it right now, it would probably just fall apart. Set this aside, reduce your oven temp to 325, and we'll be right back with the magic of editing. After 20 minutes, grab a serrated knife. We're gonna cut 3/4 inch thick slices on a slight diagonal, starting on the short side. This recipe can be traced all the way back to ancient Rome, but there was of course no baking powder or baking soda then, so this is a 19th century take on it. Once you're all sliced up, we're gonna place these cut side down on a baking sheet, just given like an inch of space so air can circulate during the bake. This can be for baking or for nibbling. Really nice. Once done, repeat the process with your other piece. My biscotti are ready to go into the oven, looking more like biscotti. 20 minutes at 325, flipping halfway through. They'll be a bit darker in color and they'll be drier, but they will continue to dry as they cool. When they come out, I'll show you some interesting ways to finish them off. In you go. Once cooled, you can enjoy your biscotti plain, but why not dip a couple in some melted chocolate? Just a little bit for some added richness. You can then sprinkle them with some flaked salt, crushed nuts. The world's your oyster here. Your biscotti will keep in an airtight container for up to a month. You could also freeze them for up to 3 months, or you can freeze the unbaked logs for up to a month, bake them off later. And just like that, your biscotti are ready to enjoy. I love how pleasantly crunchy and perfectly sweet these are. Beautifully flavored with almond and vanilla, these are hard to beat. I hope you get a chance to make this delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my Italian playlist.